I have a plan today. I'm going to go and see a bike rider who I did work with many years ago, who's a terrific guy and who's doing something remarkable. Lachlan Morton. He's arriving in Sydney today during his ride around Australia. So you catch up with him and maybe even have a chat. Alexandra Sewer, otherwise known as Alexandra Canal, on a beautiful spring morning in October 2024. It's the, let me remember, 4th of October. This is the story of my ride, but it could end up being a minuscule story of Lachlan Morton's ride, because all going well, I'll bump into this superstar of cycling from Australia, and I'll get a little glimpse of a bloke who is doing something incredible. And I won't be able to tell half of the story because I've been otherwise distracted. But I'm really keen to see him in action because he, number one, he's a good bloke. Number two, he's doing something really interesting. And I think he should be inspiring a hell of a lot of people to think outside the square, to go and ride their bikes, to do incredible things under the propulsion of their own steam, let's say. Yeah, so I think the Lachlan Morton story has been told extremely well by his brother, Gus, who has written columns for Ride Cycling Review back in the day. And yeah, this is, I think, a little bit of a culmination of the real Aussie kids yarn. So, David Morton. Morning. David Morton, the father of Lachlan, Gus and Emily, started the Real Aussie Kids program many moons ago. And I remember getting press releases week after week after week telling me that these kids would excel on the world stage, and they have done that. EF Education has backed it, and I think it's a great story. It's pro cycling because he's being paid to do this by a team that has also thought outside the square, and they're encouraging people around the world to think about what they do, how they get around, and yeah, sort of, what's the world? Ride the world, explore the world. That's what Lachy's doing, and I can't think of a better way to do it than by bicycle. So, yeah, that's all an impromptu piece of camera as I gather my thoughts after quite a significant hiatus from talking to the camera, and we'll see what comes of this ride. But I will say, while I'm still idle, sitting by the airport, I think it'll be the first and only time that a world-class cycling endeavour comes along this stretch. A bike path which has recently been completed in Sydney. Ladies and gentlemen, cycling is something that we can all do. Find what suits you and get going. Good morning. You can get to work or race the thing or just clear your mind, get some meditative miles under the wheels, and take in the sights as you idle along the growing network of cycling infrastructure that exists in this country. Thank goodness. That's a view you can't get from the automobile, because that's a road reserved for pedestrians and bike riders. Isn't that great? Things are changing. Things are changing quickly. And that change is even, I think, encouraging more people to ride. You don't have to ride around Australia to enjoy all of the benefits that come with riding a bike. State the obvious, Robert. Just pulling over, as I've often done, just to try and think about what I'm actually trying to say with this piece to camera, or just thinking about what I'm trying to say with, well, I guess with the videos that I've been making over these last 4 or 5 years. And the stories of my ride are largely personal videos, sort of collecting the thoughts that I have when I'm on the bike. I think that's pretty obvious. Sometimes it's about product, sometimes it's about my mood, sometimes it's about the weather, sometimes it's about the places that I go and the things that I see. Sometimes it's about the things that irritate me or excite me. And given that the last 10 days has included the World Championships in Zurich in Switzerland and a host of other cycling activity, I find it odd that I've been so silent on the Ride Media YouTube channel and my website, ridemedia.com.au, but the habits that I've formed over the last 30 years have sustained me professionally, personally, and financially for over 30 years, with much of the focus being on the racing scene. But now I'm just doing a bit of a content sea change, for want of a better term. It wasn't planned, it wasn't part of any particular mapped out strategy, but it's sort of come to be that way because for too long I spent day after day, hour after hour, day after day, week after week, year after year in front of the computer, in an office surrounded by bikes, and it got to the point where I was writing about riding more than I was doing it. And then the pandemic came along and everything changed. And for me, that's been ultimately a blessing, because I've reminded myself of the things, of the many good things that can come from time. And I say all of that knowing that I say all of that in the hope that I'm going to see Lachlan Morton in a little while. Maybe capture a glimpse of his frenetic speed, given the distance that he's covered, and ideally see a crowd of other bike riders cheering him on, because what he's done already is just incredible. I know Tadej Pogacar's victory in the World Championship last Sunday was probably one of the most emphatic pro cycling accomplishments ever. Certainly in modern times, I don't think that there's been a ride quite like that. And oddly, I wrote nothing about it. Not even a social media post. That took a lot of... I found that really difficult, just to be silent. But I wasn't in Switzerland. I watched the race from afar. I had other things on my mind. But that doesn't mean I ignored it and don't appreciate what was done by, I would say, the athlete of the year and arguably the best bike rider of all time. Tadej's in another world, but so too is Lachlan Morton. He's a real Aussie kid who's grown up in the cycling life, and I think he's done an outstanding job for many years to encourage others to do exactly that too. Get on the bike, go for a ride, never stop riding, and explore the world. Thanks to Eddie Holt from EF Education, who backed the team that Lachlan rides with. Because without that kind of support, cycling wouldn't get the exposure that it does. And although what Lachlan's doing is largely a personal objective, an extreme personal objective, it has merit in many more ways than simply circumnavigating Australia at a pace no one has ever done before. When I came to cycling, when it started to become part of my career, my hobby, when it became more than a hobby, when it started actually to offer me an income, provide me with an income, I used to ride that stretch of road on the way to work at the office of Kilbait Sports Promotions. And that was back when we were celebrating the 10th anniversary of the Commonwealth Bank Cycle Classic. And as part of that celebration, I created a magazine called The Classic 10 Years. And that was my first foray. No worries, buddy. That was my first foray into publishing magazines and being part of the media landscape. And that's continued for the subsequent 34 years. And I feel it just feels like a little bit of a personal pilgrimage watching Lachlan do what he's doing, watching Lachlan doing what he's done from afar while watching a dot on a computer screen. While I've been on the bike, aiming towards what this anticipated rendezvous with Lachlan, he's just ticked under 500k to go until he reaches the end of this epic journey of his around the great southern land. And the mind boggles, actually. I can't imagine what it's been like for him this last month. But I do recall, you know, the emails that I explained earlier about, or from his father, talking about what may come of the writing lives of his sons. And there's more to the story for me as well, because I did some consultation work with EF, where EF Education, when it first came into cycling, and I suggested that for the cycling sponsor in modern times, it would be prudent to focus on more than the competitive scene alone. And to the credit of that company, they have more than ticked off that suggestion. And I can't believe that they've done it to the extent that they have, to be honest. I remember saying, just get involved with Lachy. He's a freak. He does extraordinary things, and he's a terrific bloke. And you're going to get some great stories. Yeah, he's written many great stories already, while clad in the pink colours of EF. And that's continuing on very familiar roads. So it feels really quite like, I don't know, full circle-ish for me. So I don't know if any of this commentary is going to make much sense to anyone but me, but I'm going with it anyway, just in case it is a coherent explanation of why this journey by Lachlan Morton is so special for me, and I think the broader cycling community in Australia, if not around the world. Good to see you, man.
G'day, mate.
I made it. I'm having a chat. Good to see you, buddy.
G'day, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, good.
Good.
I was reminiscing about real Aussie kids.
Yeah. Rack.
That's a while ago.
Rack attack.
Rack.
Yeah. The good old days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about we catch up next week when you're sitting idle? Is that good?
Sounds much better. Only today on the Lachy airport.
Welcome to Sydney.
The last week, yeah, we were